So, what do I... Just had a major epiphany. I was reading something about... I was reading a quote from Aleister Crowley, and it suddenly dawned on me everything I've been talking to you guys about as far as post-Christianity is concerned. And basically what it comes down to is archetypes. Now, you have to believe in Gnostic Christianity to fully understand what I'm about to tell you. Most of us who understand how archetypes work, how the mysteries work, how all of this comes about, understand that certain players bring in certain energies. And so when you study the works of Jesus, we talk about how he came out of the magical schools or the mystery schools of Egypt, possibly Greece, whatever. So essentially he either went to the mystery schools of Egypt and learned magic through them, or, and by magic we mean, what you also understand as yoga and, other exercises, along with names of power. Or he studied in Hinduism kind of stuff and learned how to do meditation through Eastern yoga. Either way, Jesus wasn't just a man, but he was a very skilled and trained man in the art of consciousness, especially considering his time when mankind and consciousness were, that developed kind of thing. Now, don't get me wrong. At his time, the Roman Empire, the Greeks, all of these people were creating societies. We understand it today. So it's not like he was teaching a bunch of apes. Now let's get on point. Why do we care? Because as this quote by Crowley is stated, that he had to abolish the old energies. He had to bring in the new energies. So what does that mean to every one of you people? It means that you need to do the Socrates thing. Stop focusing on the past and instead focus on all the energies on the change to creating the future. Now, when I go on about being post-Christian and post-Muslim and post-Judaism and post-Abraham period, that's what I'm talking about. So when you guys are out there trying to do the light worker thing and and you're following people that are talking about 144,000 tribes, or they're talking about, anything that has biblical revelation, well, you need to kind of start to figure out that, it's time to move forward, because that whole paradigm has been done. That whole paradigm is over. So what I'm trying to get to the point of, kids, is that you don't really have a choice in the fact that Christianity's over, because it's just over. It was over about 100 years ago when the new archetypes were brought in, when the new ideas were brought forward. And if you look at modern society and the lack of dogma that Western democratic civilizations have, that's a good indication of how little, the old energies are holding on. Now, here's the thing that's scary for all of you, is that most of you were raised to believe in a heaven and a hell. You were raised to believe outside of yourselves. You were raised to believe in things that don't exist. You were raised to believe in mythology that was then created as a reality. And that's why a lot of you get mad when people like me say that Christianity is dead, when they say that Islam is dead, when I say that Judaism is dead, when Abraham's religions are dead. Now, why is that? Because they don't serve us anymore. What was good for people 2,000 years ago, why is it good for us today, especially considering how much we've changed, how much we've grown? The Industrial Revolution of the 1900s, late 1800s, that, guess what, kids? That kind of went... The entire world got a jump start. I mean, 120 years ago, look at how cars ran. Look at what we were doing. We were basically, well, we were still taking our bowel movements out in a bucket and throwing them into a field. What does that tell you? Indoor plumbing wasn't a reality over 100 years ago. So look at what we've changed. Look at what we're doing. So why are we still holding on to things that don't matter? If the purpose of the twin flames, if the purpose of, this world, which is hugely overpopulated, hugely becoming denser and denser and denser. And yes, we're beyond saving at this point because, we've destroyed this planet. It's that simple. We have literally destroyed this planet. We are, everybody's fighting against, game hunters who are part of the ecological aspects of keeping the wildlife afloat. The big game hunters are not the ones causing the problem, it's the poachers, but nobody gives a shit about poachers. Nobody cares about whether or not some invisible force is slaughtering everything to extinction. But no, somebody with a gun and a photograph, that's the big problem. Do you see where you guys start screwing up? You talk about, pollution, but how many of you drink water out of plastic bottles that buy Dasani, that buy Nestle, that buy all these other things? What are you doing? You're just part of the problem. You're creating more pollution. You're creating, oh, but I recycle. Really? Well, then, good for you, but 95% of the rest of the people that are drinking those bottles, they don't. So again, what are you doing? So you see, all of that comes from the Abraham religions. All of that comes from the idea that, something was coming to save us. Christians unconsciously believe, and anybody who's been raised around a Christian religion unconsciously believes that Harry Potter is coming back to take his wand and hocus pocus zippity zoppity boop, and the entire earth is going to turn into paradise all over again. So what does that do? Makes everybody lazy. Oh, well, somebody else will clean up after me. Oh, well, somebody else is going to come and do something else. Oh, it's somebody else's problem. So we constantly push the problems onto someone else, even though that someone else is never coming. Well, what does that make us? That makes us lazy and apathetic. So, the Jews are still waiting for a Messiah. Oh, well, someone's going to save us. Someone's going to fix us. Someone else, someone else, someone else, someone else. Do you see what I'm saying here? The religions of Abraham have always said someone else is coming. Something is going to fix us. What in fact that meant was consciousness, that we were going to get higher into a higher evolution of consciousness. So, that was kind of the hope, but that didn't happen because man started creating dogma. Dogma created problems. Now, for some of you, if you look over my shoulder, you'll see on the wall the Holy Infant Jesus of Prague. That's about as, Christian Catholic as I get, is him. But I have a different understanding of him. I have a higher understanding of who and what that is. And I also have a huge respect for the myth of the Holy Infant Jesus of Prague, because he's a miracle. But there's another reason for that. But I'll leave it alone. So that's my 2 cents for today, is that, the Beast of Revelation has come, the archetypes have changed, and that, it's time that we start pushing forward on what matters. What matters isn't whether or not, you believe in Christianity. It doesn't matter whether or not you believe in Judaism. What doesn't matter whether or not you believe in Islam. What matters is whether or not you believe in yourself. Whether or not you're strong enough to start saying, you know what, I need to fix this world. I need to step up. I need to do stuff. That's what's going to matter at the end of the day. Are you fixing your home? Are you making your job better? Are you taking the ceiling that you've been given and pushing it up? What are you doing to fix the world? What are you doing to fix yourself? Because if you're fixing yourself, you're fixing the world. These are things you have to look at. You have to stop believing in a savior. You have to stop believing that there's someone else that's going to fix our problems, because we are the only solution. But as long as we continue to believe in dogma that says that somebody else is going to do it for us, we continue to give away our power. We continue to be weak and corrupted people, because we forget that we are the divine light itself, that we are God manifested into a billion different possibilities, 7.3 or so exactly right now. But that is the level of consciousness. That is the level of what exists on this planet, and every single human being is able to become God manifested. So it's time that we stop believing that someone's going to come and save us, and we start saving ourselves. It's time that we stop having keyboard warriors who get mad at stupid things like fat shaming comments, which have nothing to do with fat shaming, or big game hunters, which have nothing to do with extinction. It's time that we start using our heads, and it's time that we start thinking. But, me saying this to you guys, well, I'm just going to irritate you. I'm just going to piss you off, and I'm just going to make you angry. So instead of helping you think, you're just going to stay petulant little children, and you're going to continue to consume plastic bottles that destroy the earth. You're going to continue to use toxic chemicals to clean your house that'll destroy the earth. You're going to continue to ignore the fact that, Africa is starving, and that's why poaching is such an great sport for so many people, because it's a means to an end in a business that pays through the nose. Because none of us are doing what we should be doing, and that's the problem. So figure out who you are, figure out what your divine purpose is, start living your divine purpose, start doing your divine purpose, because that's the only way we're going to be able to turn this world around. And unfortunately, it's going to take another 4 generations to do it. But if some of us start doing it now, we give the next 4 generations a chance to start doing it for themselves. So please, stop believing that anybody's coming to save you, that anybody's going to change your life, that anybody's going to stop making you smoke cigarettes, smoke weed, drink copiously amounts of alcohol to numb your pain. The only person who's going to ever fix your pain is you. And if you fix your pain, then the world has one less thorn in it. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what I've been doing with you guys, is I've been trying to shock you into waking up. I don't have to shock you anymore, because the reality is you need to look at yourselves. You need to look at what's going on. Once you look at that, you can start working on that, because then you can start taking responsibility for you. And guess what the most powerful gift of the world is? Personal responsibility. Mind blown. Christianity over. Religions of Abraham come to an end. It's all about you.